So stupid. Alrighty, it's that time of the year again, the Fry Clay 200K, an insane 200km gravel mud race. This race is divided into 4 parts. First off, it's a rough gravel section filled with steep slopes. This year we unexpectedly faced some heavy rain, hail, and even tornadoes while riding. Next up is the muddy single track. Due to the morning rain, it was impossible to make any progress. At one point I seriously thought about giving up biking. The third part is another rough gravel section with long and steep hills. And finally part 4, where we rode on gravel until 3 AM in complete darkness. If you want more details about the race, check out last year's video. This year we have Tatiana, Liston, and Chris's younger brother Nathan attempting the race for the first time. I somewhat tried to support them so that we could all complete the race together. Now sit back and enjoy, starting with the day before. You ready?
Oh yeah. Dude. My bike's never looked like that before.
What do you mean?
That's how ready
Fully
I am.
packed?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
That's how ready I am. As in, I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
On the eve of the race, we camped at the starting point and I slept in Chris's tent. The night sky was filled with sparkling stars, and the race organizer Pat's dog was running around in flashy fashion. Now the morning of the race. Since the race started at 8 AM, I woke up around 6 AM to prepare everything in advance. My setup for this year included a jacket, spare contacts and glasses, filming equipment, an emergency kit, and loads of food. I increased the calories significantly this year since last year in the last 4 hours or so I definitely ran out of food, so it was quite heavy, weighing around 20 kilos, and it was definitely overboard, but totally worth it in my opinion. Finally, when I tried to go to the restroom, there was a longer line than I anticipated, and it was almost time for the race to start. Not that the start time really matters for us. The morning sky was really beautiful, and I'll also include some footage from Chris's GoPro, so some shots have different colors and sounds, but let's head to the starting line. Hey Kelly!
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
So good.
How you doing?
Yeah, are you ready for this?
Less than last year, but yeah. How are we feeling, Chris?
Oh, we are awake, we are warm, man, we're ready. It's gonna be good, I feel great. I am excited.
How are you feeling, Tatiana?
Like I don't know what's ahead.
I'll be okay.
No, now that I'm on the bike, I'm like, oh, it's just a bike ride. Like I do that all the time.
Yep.
You definitely don't know what's ahead.
Exactly.
Yep, just a bike ride.
I'm
For
trying
sure.
to be optimistic.
Yep, making you too much confidence.
It's dark.
Yeah.
At the beginning, the weather was fine with no wind, but it gradually worsened after the race started. My energy level was similar to the weather, and it was just hard to get pumped up, and I struggled initially. I just felt mentally drained as soon as the race started. Soon, light rain started to fall and my motivation dropped even further.
This is all it's gonna rain, it's not that bad.
Okay. That looks so gnarly. I got really anxious when we reached this stretch of pavement. We were facing a strong headwind and the sky was getting really dark. I really wanted to turn back around here. You could just tell that it was about to storm, and the wind was so strong that I couldn't even close my jacket without stopping. The rain started pouring and I was thinking, what are we gonna do? We were lucky to have a small gas station where we took shelter from the rain, but it soon turned into a full-fledged storm, with pieces of hail as well.
Huh? Is it raining?
Oh yeah.
I said I gotta get back on Ty's video and say, oh, I guess I was wrong. This is all it's gonna rain, it's not that bad.
Oh yeah, that's true. It is not raining, isn't it?
It is raining harder.
Oh, yay. Woo! I blame you.
We're here for the content. Let us know what else we need in this video.
We found out the next day that there was actually a tornado near our location, so it was quite dangerous to be honest. But you know, gravel biking. We waited for about 15 minutes at the gas station, but the rain showed no signs of stopping, so we reluctantly, at least myself reluctantly, started riding in the rain. Me being a skeleton and having absolutely no meat on myself, it got quite cold and I was shivering for some time.
Okay. Good for you. Makes you feel alive.
The combination of rain and gravel was tough in various ways, especially the sound. I had to listen to the sound of my brakes grinding for about 20 miles, and it was tough. What was even tougher was getting a flat tire in this rain due to Liston getting a sidewalk cut. Fortunately, the rain eased up a bit at that time, but soon returned.
So Nathan, what was it about this no rain again?
It's coming back! I'm hurrying! It's been summoned!
After a somewhat quick tire repair and a very quick body temperature drop, we arrived at a creek crossing that became deeper due to all this rain. I casually rode across it the last 2 years, but this time it looked like a no thank you for a normal thinking person. So not Chris, he casually rode across it no problem. At least this year the creek felt not too cold since my body temperature was already so low, which isn't really a good thing, but you gotta look at the positives, I guess. I feel like you really need guts to ride in the rain, but even more so on rainy gravel. I had to descend the slopes quite slowly. Everyone else really went ahead, but I was a bit scared. It's definitely not the place to slip and get hurt. With that, we continued on and soon arrived at another creek crossing. I kinda crossed it normally. Probably was also cold, but at this point I don't feel anything anymore, so it's okay. The rain stopped around this area, but the sky and wind were still not great. It was really hard for me to feel energetic without the sun and blue sky. But riding peacefully through the quiet forest is truly enjoyable. Riding with Tatiana at a comfortable pace helped me slowly regenerate my shut-down brain. Gravel with rolling hills doesn't get boring and I can keep going as long as there's an uphill to catch up to everyone. And soon enough, we reached the same rest spot as last year and my dearest friend, the blue sky and the sun, made their appearance.
It feels pretty good.
Yeah, I don't feel...
I'm gonna get accurate representation of my feet at this moment.
When you can see dark storm clouds on the left, but right next to them you see a clear blue sky, you realize how amazing and mystical nature is. Eventually we reached a church that marks the end of the first section, so Chris and I discussed whether we should follow the route through the hellish horse trail section or not. But first, everyone needed to wash their bikes since they were covered in mud.
You're not gonna clean it at all?
No, because it's just...
Anybody need the hose?
I mean, I think you want the drivetrain at least.
Okay. I guess I do want it.
Arguing. Just us arguing about horse trails.
You know what? I'm down.
I just feel like we should do that first.
Scheme in here.
I like single thread.
Yeah, okay. So this section, this section right here in front of us. So are we doing the horse trails, guys?
Yeah,
We're doing the horse trail.
hell yeah.
Kai, how do you feel about doing the horse trail? All right, guys.
Optimistic until it's not worth being optimistic.
Unfortunately, we decided to go for it, and everyone was so full of energy and motivation, and for myself, I was not excited at all. As we arrive at the most challenging section, the horse trails, within the first 15 seconds we were already walking and climbing over fallen trees. But what's even more concerning is the ground itself, a wonderful mud smoothie. Very soft, slippery, and makes me feel like I'm not even moving. By the way, this section is actually only 12 miles in distance, but it took us a whopping 5 hours to cover that distance. And it wasn't due to big mechanicals like me last year, it was just that we couldn't make any progress. Or more so, I couldn't make any progress, sorry guys. The uphills and downhills were equally slow for someone like me with poor riding skills. It was almost all hike-a-bike for me. Because of the rain, we often found it faster to create our own paths rather than sticking to the actual trail. It's like cutting through the forest and it puts more strain on the legs, but it's definitely feeling easier because we're moving. Eventually we reached the first parking area and we felt relieved. Tatiana's shoes were covered in mud and she seemed quite happy about that. Truly a mystery.
Converse is so good. Yeah.
This trail called Horse Trails is meant for horses, obviously, so it's full of holes, especially in the softer parts. There are many marks from horses' hooves, making it bumpy. Both the uphill and the downhill are extremely difficult. You really have to concentrate all the time. Otherwise, you can easily veer off in the wrong direction. And even worse, when it rains like today, water accumulates in the holes and makes the ground even softer. Also, my bike is too heavy again, so they sink immediately in the mud. And if you get stuck in this mud, it just takes a lot of effort to pull out.
Oh, I should have used that back.
The ground goes from soft to hard to sinking to not sinking, and if you relax even for a moment, you make mistakes. And then we encountered the usual small river that we always cross. The rocks here are wet, and if you're wearing clipless, then it becomes slippery. And as usual, I'm in the back being my noisy self, because it just happens, and not a single person looks back anymore.
Scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling? 8? Damn. Right now, I don't know, a 2?
From around this point, the mud starts to stick to the bikes and the wheels stop turning. For me at least. I was pedaling easily over 4 watts per kilo, but I barely moved. I could just hear the sound of the tires rubbing against the mud that was stuck on my frame. Even if I cleaned the mud off, it just immediately came back.
Oh man.
And as I'm having the most miserable time of the day, here's Chris blasting through all of it. Eventually, we were fortunate to encounter some horses again this year. Usually you should get off and walk, but they said it's okay to pass, so we did. They were really beautiful horses, although they're the ones responsible for making the path full of holes, so mixed emotions. After a short break, we continued onto a newly added section, including a really steep slope.
Oh no! Oh sh! Oh sh! Oh my god! You good?
From here on, the real challenge begins. I usually start feeling mentally fatigued around this area. First,
Lovely.
we walked through some mud that reached up to our ankles, and then a world-class orchestra started playing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's so stupid.
This already challenging section was further compounded by my notorious chain dropping, but luckily fixing it was much easier compared to the 2x. However, while I was fixing that, the rest of the group went far ahead. And the moment I realized that, my mental state plummeted.
The mental battle happens in the dark, though. That's my experience.
All this mud. Jesus Christ. Just over and over and over. Oh my god.
When it's tough and you want to quit, but you push through, it becomes slightly enjoyable. Slightly. Knowing that we're almost through this section also brings me some joy. But before that, we got lost again and had to find a trail.
Is there a turn left? Don't see anything that goes left.
This is not the way,
Maybe there's something right here.
but there's something this way.
Maybe.
We hiked even more in the mud, climbing over fallen trees, and I checked Tatiana's energy level again.
Scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling now?
I'm like at 6.
Damn. I'm in the negatives. Go for it.
I'm like at 6.
After crossing a deep river and overcoming the last steep slope, we finally reached a paved road. It was tough, but finally over. Until I made a terrifying discovery.
I swear to God, does it just go to the other side and continues?
Just as I thought we were back on the road, the hellish experience continues. But before that, luckily for us, a person that retired here generously gave us water because our bottles were empty. Trail magic at its best. Now let's dive back into the mud. As we left the paved road and entered the forest again, the path led to a creek crossing at the base of the mountain. It was quite deep and it actually felt quite nice for our exhausted bodies, excluding one of my toes cramping as I walked through. Now teleporting to the top of the climb, almost at its peak. Apparently I didn't even have the energy to turn the camera on, and that's kind of shown in my facial expression. The scenery up here is completely different from the base of the mountain.
So strong. Tatiana.
After crossing over a fallen tree, we finally got out of the second hellish section and returned to normal gravel. After spending 5 hours in the mud, even rough gravel felt like smooth road, and my energy levels soared.
This feels like road. This is the feeling of riding.
My energy, which was in the negatives, jumped back to 1,000,000,000% upon entering this gravel section. Being able to ride the bike, pedal, and reach speeds over 2 miles an hour felt amazing and exhilarating. I kept gaining speed, and in no time we arrived at the next town, Juliet.
We know her.
We rode about 200 feet on the paved road from Juliet, and that's when we noticed how loudly everyone's drivetrains were creaking. Morning rain, numerous creek crossings, and tons of mud bid farewell to our chain loop. I was preparing myself to have to listen to that until the halfway camp, 20 miles away from here, but an unexpected savior appeared in front of us later.
What a team! You got a moment, guys.
I just love the image of suffering and pain.
This third section had quite a lot of steep hills and repeated slopes ranging from 5 to 15%. There were some fantastic downhill stretches, but the second half was particularly long and challenging slopes. But after finishing the first long climb and speeding down this fast slope, we met our savior encountering his own trouble.
You good?
Falcon got a bad puncture and wasn't tubeless anymore, but the punctures kept coming. He had used 5 tire patches in one day. But even before that, what a name. I gave him my patch kit and we all used the Spanish chain oil that he had.
I made it 100 yards on the last one, so.
The whole ride.
But there's no down.
After helping each other, we continued on. Unfortunately, Falcon's newly patched tire apparently went flat again immediately after we left, so that's really tough. Unaware of this, we sped along the gravel. It was bumpy but super fun. Everyone was in super high spirits, but around this point, I started to worry a little bit about Tatiana. She seemed to be struggling a little bit, but at least as of now, we were all riding together. Soon enough, we arrived at another deep creek crossing.
Damn.
Last year we left the Hadaway camp around dusk, but this year we still had a long way to go. The extended mud section was a painful and long one, but the sunset from inside this forest was stunning.
Yeah.
I love climbing so much. Almost as much as climbing.
Hey man, Jordan was gone by here.
I guess I still got some gas in my tank.
Yeah. Woo. Climbing and climbing. Woo! You got it. We're about to take a break.
From here, Tatiana seemed to be suffering some more. I was the one that invited her to ride dry clay, so I was definitely making sure she makes it. But I didn't have the courage to point a camera at someone struggling, so I secretly filmed. The slopes around here were really steep, and I think it's really tough with her gear ratio. The first time I rode here with the same gear ratio, I walked all of these hills, so she's truly amazing. I started to think she might DQ and return to camp around here since there was still about 65 miles left, but we decided to take a break at the halfway Hadaway camp and discuss.
Finally. Woo! Excellent work. Halfway more to go. Sorry.
Don't worry, we will not enjoy.
After talking to everyone at camp, we decided to keep going till the end. We started back up around 10 p.m. and it was pitch black outside and we could hear the sounds of frogs and bugs everywhere. It was actually pretty humid, unlike last year where it was freezing in the single digits, so I brought a jacket this year but definitely didn't need it. At first we all rode together, but eventually we spread out a bit during the night. The highlight for me was Chris leaving his own brother behind in the dark with no GPS. Well, there were some rough gravel sections, but most of it was relatively easy gravel, although you did need to be careful of a few drop-offs.
That is a massive drop-off.
Honestly, riding in the dark was incredibly enjoyable this year. Jordan wasn't there, so we only took 2 breaks, and we finished quickly. I think this footage shows one of the breaks with about 20 miles left.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Pretty alright.
Nice.
Insane.
We're actually really close too, so.
Come on, you gotta look over here. You gotta show how happy you are.
Yes, I'm so happy.
There's the other half of my revolution donut.
Nice. Donut break.
And there it is. We safely reached the finish line at around 3 a.m. We celebrated together with joy. Tatiana, Liston, and Nathan, who were all experiencing their first 200-kilometer gravel race, were extremely happy.
Golly day. I did not think this was gonna happen.
We did it.
Good job, Chris.
Oh man, we did it.
After taking some photos together, we cleaned our bike and bodies with the hose since everyone's shoes and feet were all muddy.
Reached a comfortable temperature.
After that, we returned to the car. Everyone immediately went to sleep, but I unpacked my bags and organized my stuff, and you'll know why in a moment.
There ain't a No.
Now moving on to the next day. It was pouring rain. Terrifying amount of rain and thunder, which is why I packed everything during the night and slept in a small sedan holding my 5'10" body. Tatiana had some bad luck, you could say, as she set up her tent in a dip, leading to her sleeping bag getting soaked and she woke up drenched. So we quickly packed everything up and used the heater to the max and headed home. She still got sick apparently though, so tough luck.
An eventful?
So eventful. I can't remember the last time I felt this way because I don't think I ever have.
You are actually in a pool of water.
Like there was like a water bubble under my tent and I was like floating on it.
In the morning, we were planning to go to Waffle House like last year, but since Tatiana was soaking wet, the two of us decided to just go back home. Chris and the others apparently drove through flooded roads and completely submerged bridges to get home.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Apparently I shifted gears 2100 times during this ride. I'll see you in the next video.